Coming up on the Q30 Newscast, the Student Government Association received additional funding for organizations on campus. SGA President Ryan Hicks is in the studio to talk more about these changes.
St. Baldrick's took place this past Tuesday. Q30 found out how much the Student Programming Board raised during this annual event.
Also, this past Sunday was Earth Day, and we covered all the fundraising happening on campus and around the state.
All this and more coming up on the Q30 Newscast.
Live from the Student Center Piazza, this is the Q30 Newscast.
Welcome to the Q30 Newscast. I'm Olivia Schuler.
And I'm Eliza Krasinski. Earlier today, the Student Government Association announced that they had been granted $725,000 for the 2018-2019 academic year. Tomorrow there was supposed to be a student protest on the steps of the Arnold Barnard Library to let administrators know that they wanted a larger student government budget so that student organizations could be fully funded. In light of this recent announcement, the protest has been canceled. To talk about how increased funding will be allocated to SGA-funded student organizations, Krista Delane is currently in the studio with Student Government President Ryan Hicks. Krista?
Thanks, Eliza. So I'm joined by Ryan Hicks, SGA President. So I want to get right into it. You were planning on getting $600,000 for all the student organizations, and now we know that you had a significant number increase. So could you just talk to us a bit about how that happened and how that feels?
Yeah, so obviously it feels fantastic. Now we're at a point where we can fund a lot more opportunities, whether they're off-campus travel, conferences, competitions. We can now allow on-campus events to grow and get more money to continue to bring in students. The process was a lot of behind-the-scenes work and a lot with Monique Drucker, who's the Vice President Dean of Students, Dr. Mark Thompson, who's the Executive Vice President and Provost, and then Mark Verholik, who's the CFO. So it was a lot of them working together to figure out how the student organizations can have this amount of money. And so that's kind of where we're at now. Is we got the word today that the proposal was accepted and we are funded for $725,000.
So this past year you were the Vice President for Finance, so you have a good understanding of the struggle of distributing that money that you're giving every year. Can you talk a bit about the struggle that comes with that and deciding who gets what?
Yeah, so pretty much how it goes is we look at, so when we go do budgets, we budget pretty much everyone all the way through as if everything would be in line with policy. Mm-hmm. And then we have to go through and start to take off conferences and competitions. And then we had to go off and take off-campus travel. And the mindset is if we're going to be restrained with that budget, we need to fund opportunities that are going to be on campus and open to the whole student body with the mindset that they have to be able to benefit the entire student body. Obviously that becomes incredibly difficult because there are so many organizations that revolve strictly around off-campus travel, and there's these incredible events that allow people to immerse themselves in different cultures or professionally develop and network, and we're not able to do those. But when we go through, whether it's our special appeal process or our budgeting process, we're always looking at how we can benefit the most amount of students on campus, and so we value on-campus events that are open to the whole student body first, and then kind of work our way down.
Right, and so 2 weeks ago at the SGA General Board meeting, you had several different organization leaders vocalize their concerns about the budget and getting funding for their own organizations. Can you just tell us about your reaction to their concerns and how you're working to help them now?
I mean, I can't blame them for their concerns. Every student should be concerned about where their money is going when they pay the tuition, and if opportunities are limited, they should be concerned and they should voice those concerns. So our job at SGA is to hear those concerns and figure out the best way to go about fixing whatever problem arises, and so that we can benefit the student body as best we can and advocate for their needs. And so, I mean, it wasn't just the last couple weeks. This entire year, we've been hearing students and student organizations talk about their concerns about funding and how it limits their organization. So this kind of is a culmination of an entire year's worth of work from SGA and the student organizations constantly being fiscally responsible and spending that money and putting on fantastic events. It's through their work that we're able to go to the administration and say, look at what is incredible that's happening at Quinnipiac, and we need the money to be able to continue to fund it and allow them to grow.
And for those organizations that were hoping to get more money, now that the budget is a little bit larger, when will it be announced if their organization is going to be receiving the extra funds?
So now it's pretty much we have to go at it and figure out what the best way to allocate those funds are. So obviously we've only had the extra $125,000 for 6 hours now. So we don't have an exact plan in place yet. We've thrown around a lot of different ideas about what's the best way to allocate those funds. We're hoping to do it as soon as possible because we know that organizations are planning now for the entire next year. So now is our plan is to just work as diligently as fairly as possible to distribute those funds so that organizations can start to plan for next year.
And with the press release received by the student body today, it seemed that you and Dr. Drucker were the key players in this. Can you talk just a little bit more about how your decisions came together and how long you guys have been planning for this?
Yes, I don't know if I consider myself a key player. I put together a 2-page proposal that pretty much outlined all the cuts that were made throughout budget weekend, and I gave that to Monique Drucker, and she really was the one who was advocating consistently behind the scenes with the administration for the students, and then Dr. Thompson as well, and they were the ones who were able to look at the student experience as a whole and see how that money could affect the student experience and how it could benefit student experience for on-campus events and off-campus events and travel and conferences and competitions. So pretty much we put together a proposal, we gave it to Monique, and then Monique kind of took it up the ladder and really worked hard for us over the last couple weeks.
Well, thank you so much for being here tonight. We really appreciate you taking the time to speak to us.
Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Back to you guys at the desk.
Yesterday, Cho Cocker, our part-time faculty member and professor of English and FYS, was escorted off public safety. Students in Cocker's 6:30 p.m. QU 301 lecture were notified by Anna Lisa Zinn, Vice President for Academic Innovation and Effectiveness, at 5:11 p.m. that Cocker is no longer at Quinnipiac. The email also said that for the last 3 weeks of the semester, they will be receiving another experienced QU 301 instructor, Ivan Tirado Cordero. For more information regarding this story, stay up to date by following us on Twitter at Q30 News, liking us on Facebook, and checking out our website at www.q30tv.com.
Although Quinnipiac isn't affiliated with May Weekend anymore, Public Safety and the Parking and Transportation Department are busy preparing for the weekend's activities. Q30's Christina Vitas has more on the story.
With 2 weeks before finals and rising temperatures, students can taste summer break. To students, these circumstances mean only one thing: May Weekend is on its way. In 2007, the university discontinued official May Weekend festivities. However, the legend lives on, and the university is officially preparing for the unofficial weekend. Public safety is increasing the amount of officers on duty, as well as their shifts from 8 to 12 hours, while also having the Hamden Police Department on call throughout the weekend. The New Haven shuttle has also been canceled this weekend. Q30 reached out to Shannon Grasso, who explained these cancellations.
Really, it's a liability issue. You know, I know that some students choose to enjoy the weekend by drinking, and we just can't be sending, knowingly send students down there who may be intoxicated.
Although a multitude of precautions are being made, James Neely, the Assistant Chief of Public Safety, reminds students the importance of personal safety on and off campus.
Young folks should start thinking about, in this environment and you do things, it's a safe environment. But if you take that activity out, away from this campus, then there's some serious sanctions that you may be subject to. And young people should be thinking about that as well. All right, if we want to be safe, then you have to act in a responsible and safe manner. That you should understand that we have an expectation of everybody on this campus, you young adults, they should be making proper decisions.
For Q30 News, Christina Vitas.
The Student Programming Board held their annual St. Baldrick's event in the Piazza yesterday. The student organization partnered with St. Baldrick Foundation to raise funds for childhood cancer research. Callie Keys was at the event and has the details on how much money was raised.
Bald is beautiful. Something that those who brave the shave at last night's annual St. Baldrick's can proudly say. This student programming board event fills the room every year.
This is our one philanthropic event that SBB gets to do each year, so it's definitely one of our more well-known ones, one of our like traditional events, so I think it's definitely one of the ones we are most proud of putting on each year.
And while each shavee was greeted to a warm applause after they walked off the stage newly shaved, the real wow moment was when they saw their head for the first time.
My friend took a Snapchat of me, and he showed it to me, and I was wowed. I was wowed. I honestly haven't gotten a buzz cut like this since maybe I was third grade, maybe.
Quinnipiac students are not the only ones who recognize the impact and importance of this event. Mother and daughter pair Mary and Aaron Hatt are New Haven residents that together wanted to make a difference.
So I signed up for it. I said, I'm going to shave my head. I didn't even ask my boss. And then I was like, wait, maybe I should ask her. And then she says, I'm going to do it. I want to do it. I'll do it. She's been like in it since day one. She's so excited.
Those who chose to be shavies are not the only ones who walk away from this event feeling proud. The barbers of Classic Cuts volunteer for St. Baldrick's each year.
I like to give back to the community, especially in Connecticut. I like to volunteer for it, that way people will know what's the feeling of having cancer and what they go through.
This year's St. Baldrick's ended with over $7,700 raised and 20 people who chose to go bald for the cause. With the crowd and energy that came out for this year's St. Baldrick's, members of SPB are very excited to see what will occur in their 10-year anniversary next year. For Q30 News, Callie Keys.
With only 24 days till graduation, seniors have been fulfilling their last requirements before they walk across the stage. This week, the Mount Carmel campus and the North Haven campus held the 2018 Commencement Fair, where seniors could pick up their cap and gowns, get information about graduation ceremonies, and sign up to join the Alumni Network. Yesterday, Quinnipiac announced the speakers for the various commencement ceremonies. The Rock to Rock Foundation will be hosting the 10th annual Earth Day Ride on April 28th. During the event, bikers will travel from West Rock to East Rock in New Haven with celebrations on both sides of the city, as well as tasty food and great music along the way. Rock to Rock started in 2008 and since then has raised nearly $1 million, all going to support a greener, healthier, and more welcoming community. If you are interested in participating in this year's event, contact Sean Duffy or Khalif Rolock. Coming up after the break, we speak to members of the two fraternities that recently received their charter.
And French President Emmanuel Macron met with President Trump this week. Kyle Levasseur has all this and more in your political news update.
Whether you're on the quad, in your room,
or heading to class,
tune in to Q30 News.
For stories by student journalists you can trust.
We are covering the latest here on campus and in surrounding areas. Get the news you need to know every Wednesday night.
Coming up on #that, we talk about some fun events around Quinnipiac's campus.
And we talk about some weird news that's been discussed around Twitter.
All that and more, we are your source for Quinnipiac's entertainment news.
Tonight on Sandwich News, we will determine what makes a good sandwich and a bad sandwich. First, the standard sandwich. Uninspired and frankly, a little gross. But we have here a Ray and Mike sandwich, the Cadillac of sandwiches. And if you want one, well,
come on down to Ray and Mike's at 3030 Whitney Ave, Hamden, Connecticut. Open every day from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Qcash is accepted.
now that's a sandwich.
The fraternities Beta Theta Pi and Delta Upsilon are the two latest organizations to receive their charter. We spoke to James Burnham, the president of Beta Theta Pi, about what it took to become nationally recognized.
It's a long process. It takes about a whole year and a lot of preparation, which we definitely put in hours and hours of work, not just the process alone, but being able to be qualified in order to charter.
Delta Epsilon also went through the chartering process, but in a different way. Delta Epsilon Vice President of External Relations, Mark Malcolm, told us more about their experience.
The process itself was only one day, but it's all leading up to that one day of writing the proposal, working on recruitment, GPA, fundraising, philanthropy, all sorts of stuff like that. So it took us 5 years to do, but the actual process was one day itself.
The QU Notables will be hosting their spring concert this Thursday in the Buckman Theater at 7:30 p.m. The event will feature a group of individual performances of popular songs that members have been practicing over the semester. The Quinnipiac Student Athlete Advisory Committee hosted Bobcats Off-Broadway this past Monday in Burcon Gym. Students on various sports teams took part in the performances in an effort to raise money for the One Love Foundation. The event took a little different from last year when it was known as Mr. and Miss Bobcat. This year, the women's ice hockey team took home the gold after their award-winning performance. Members of the Latino Cultural Society and the Department of Global and Cultural Engagement gathered in the School of Communications to raise awareness about the ongoing situation in Nicaragua. Students, faculty, and staff were encouraged to discuss their feelings and concerns about the recent series of protests in the country. The university currently offers services and learning trips to Nicaragua during J-term and spring semesters. Students got to share their love for the earth and fashion this past Friday during the Eco Fashion Show, from dresses made out of silk flowers, coffee filters, and even shopping bags. Olivia Schuler has more on these Earth Day celebrations.
Earth Day was celebrated early at Quinnipiac. Friday from 11 to 4, activities took place on the Mount Carmel campus quad. The Piazza held 2 guest speakers and hosted the QU Eco Fashion Show, a fashion show where clothing was designed with recycled goods. Leading up to the show, models and coordinators have been preparing for months.
My job was to get a playlist together for before the fashion show as well as during the fashion show, and then I also tried to tackle choreography for the models during the fashion show.
Once preparation was completed, it was time for models to hit the runway. But this show was more than designing dresses for models. It was about the way climate change is affecting our clothing.
Climate change will have an impact on farming. In certain parts of the world, water is already becoming scarce, and that has a direct impact on cotton farming in certain places.
There are always ways to make changes. Earth Day gives the opportunity to reflect on habits that may be hurting our environment.
Fashion has a big environmental impact, and each of us, through our fashion consumption, has an impact. I don't say that for us to feel guilty about it, but I do want us to notice it and do start asking questions. What can I do differently to reduce my impact? You know, if we look 20 years into the future, it's going to look very different to now.
Quinnipiac University has brought more attention to the ongoing environmental changes. Quinnipiac continues to do so by hosting Earth Day activities for students each year. Olivia Schuler, Q30 News.
Now we turn over to Kyle Lavasser with your political update. Kyle, what do you have for us?
Eliza and Olivia, thank you very much. I'm Kyle Lavasser here to give you the latest on politics ranging from Connecticut to the national scene. First, Friday was the 19th anniversary of the Columbine shooting. Over 2,600 demonstrations took place as part of the national movement to fight gun violence and to push for gun control in Connecticut. Senator Blumenthal spoke at Ridgefield High School, where students wore orange and had a moment of silence to honor the lives lost through school shootings. Blumenthal says strong gun laws bring down gun violence and that a national law is needed.
The voices and faces of these young people are immensely powerful and compelling. They are the ones who are victims of gun violence so often. And their plea to my colleagues in Washington is going to have an effect because my colleagues can count. They know their votes are going to be there.
Staying in Connecticut, yesterday the House of Representatives approved Governor Malloy's legislation for more affordable housing. The legislation would ensure all Connecticut towns do their part to build affordable housing. It also encourages the use of renewable energy sources for these houses. Governor Malloy says his bill benefits families, communities, and businesses throughout Connecticut. The bill now moves on to the state Senate. And finally, last night, President Trump held his first state dinner since taking office. The President and First Lady Melania welcomed the French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte to the White House. Both leaders spoke about the strong alliance France and the United States have had over the last 2 centuries and about the importance of freedom.
The White House.
Macron urged President Trump to keep U.S. troops in Syria and stay in the Iran nuclear deal. President Trump showed his close relationship with Macron to the press.
We do have a very special relationship. In fact, I'll get that little piece of dandruff off. That little piece. We have to make him perfect. He is perfect.
And Trump also thanked Macron and the French people for taking part in the recent U.S. military action against Syria over chemical weapons. That will do it for this week's Political Report. Ladies, back to you at the desk.
Thank you, Kyle. When we come back, Chris Stacy has your 7-day forecast.
And we have Brooke Riley standing by with all the entertainment news updates.
Hello, and tonight on Sandwich News, we will determine what makes a good sandwich and a bad sandwich. First, the standard sandwich. Uninspired, and frankly, a little gross. But we have here a Ray and Mike sandwich, the Cadillac of sandwiches. And if you want one, well,
come on down to Ray and Mike's at 3030 Whitney Ave, Hamden, Connecticut. Open every day from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. QCash is accepted.
now that's a sandwich.
This is Sports Pause.
Are you concerned with the 0-2 start to this team?
Right here, top of the circle, again, rips it past the Jasper's goalie.
What will breaking the record mean for the program himself? I mean, 138 wins.
There's the tough shot. What a nice play by Mikey Dixon.
He's good in transition. Just a really dynamic scorer he can create for himself.
And now, Emma, it's time for the top 5 plays of the week.
Coming up on #that, we talk about some fun events around Quinnipiac's campus.
And we talk about some weird news that's been discussed around Twitter.
All that and more, we are your source for Quinnipiac's entertainment news.
A very rainy day here in Hamden today. We're going to look at the temperatures as of right now. You're going to see right now tonight it's going to be 48 degrees. Tomorrow it's going to be up in the 60s, warming up again tomorrow. And then tomorrow night it's going to go back down to the 40s. Let's look at around the state of Connecticut here. You're going to see it has been raining all around the state in the mid-50s to the high 50s. You're going to see the warmest it is right now is in New Haven at 57 degrees. And let's take a look at my 7-day forecast for the town of Hamden. Today, Wednesday, 56 degrees, low of 48. You saw it was rainy all day. Had to go change my suit. That's all wet right now. No problem there. Thursday, it's going to be tomorrow. It's going to be 63 degrees. Make sure you break out the shorts for tomorrow. Everyone will be on the quad, mostly sunny. Friday, first day of May weekend, unofficial holiday at Quinnipiac. It's going to be 60 degrees. However, it is going to be rainy, so make sure you got your rain jacket or umbrella out. Saturday, it's going to be a little bit better, 62 degrees and mostly cloudy. Sunday, it's going to be a little bit colder, 55. Might have to break out the khakis there. And Monday, back up to 63 degrees, recovery day for everyone there, low of 46. Tuesday, it's going to be the best day so far in the spring. It's going to be 70 degrees, low of 54. And that is your 7-day forecast. Let's send it back out to Olivia and Eliza in the piazza.
A lot has been happening with the Royals, and in the entertainment world, Brooke Riley is here with the latest news. Brooke?
Thanks, Olivia and Eliza. The entertainment world is always buzzing with news, so let's hop right into it. Starting off on an exciting note, Kate Middleton and Prince William recently welcomed baby number 3. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge welcomed their new baby boy into the world on Monday morning. The baby was born at 11:01 a.m. in the Linda wing of the Paddington Hospital and weighs 8 pounds and 7 ounces. Prince George and Princess Charlotte met their new brother later that afternoon. The baby has been introduced to visitors, but he still does not have a name. The couple took 2 days to announce both of their other children's names, so we'll continue to wait and see if the announcement comes pretty soon. Moving now to some sad news, Grammy-nominated electronic dance music DJ and producer Avicii was found dead in Muscat, Oman on Friday. In a statement to the public, his publicist Diana Barron said, quote, "It is with profound sorrow that we announce the loss of Tim Bergling, also known as Avicii. The family is devastated and we ask everyone to please respect their need for privacy in this difficult time. No further statements will be given," end quote. The cause of death is still unknown. About 4 months have passed since Matt Lauer found himself in the middle of a sexual harassment scandal with a Today Show production assistant. Lauer has since cut himself off from the outside world and sold his apartment in Manhattan. He has been living a private life in the Hamptons. Lauer is now having a tough time as his divorce process continues with his wife, Annette Roque. According to ET Online, Lauer was hoping he could work things out, but Roque had different thoughts. She went ahead with the divorce procedures and wants a good settlement for her and their children. And finally, ending on a higher note, Ariana Grande released a new hit single, No Tears Left to Cry. She performed it as a surprise at the 2018 Coachella Music Festival during Kygo's set. This is her first performance in months, as she has stayed off the radar while worked on her new music. The new song is already at number 2 and is currently battling it out for the number 1 spot on the official singles chart for this week. This is only the first song of the album, so there should be plenty more where that came from. Well, that is all I have for this week's entertainment news update. Back to Olivia and Eliza at the desk.
Thank you, Brooke. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, for the first time ever, Sports Pause will be giving us an update on all you missed in sports this week.
Hello, and tonight on Sandwich News, we will determine what makes a good sandwich and a bad sandwich. First, the standard sandwich. Uninspired, and frankly, a little gross. But we have here a Ray and Mike sandwich, the Cadillac of sandwiches. And if you want one, well,
come on down to Ray and Mike's at 3030 Whitney Ave, Hamden, Connecticut. Open every day from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. QCash is accepted.
Now that's a sandwich.
Bobcat Breakdown, presented by the Quinnipiac Bobcats Sports Network.
We are your source for debate.
Did they make the playoffs last year, Tom Jenkins?
When it clicks, it clicks.
We dissect Quinnipiac athletics on a scale you've never seen before.
With Tobia, it almost looks like she's reaching a little bit.
Plus, we bring in the biggest names surrounding college sports.
We are live here at the Times Union Center with Jay Billis.
And of course, some comedy.
But you can only have so much arena food.
I think you're crazy.
Bobcat Breakdown.
Tuesdays at 9:30.
I heard the men's lacrosse team is #1 in the MAC after defeating Monmouth last Friday. Josh Cullen, what do you have for us?
Thanks, guys. Cullen Ronan here, and today I'm joined alongside by Josh Silverman, and we're going to be going over the biggest Quinnipiac sports stories of the week. And it was a particularly busy week for men's lacrosse. Josh, you want to fill us in there?
Certainly will, Cullen. We'll start with men's lax. So Quinnipiac won the game. It will clinch first seed in the upcoming MAC tournament. Right here, a little tic-tac goal in the second quarter. Back and forth is scored by Anthony Carcietta. Puts Quinnipiac up 3-2 early in the second quarter. But, Colin, we cannot forget about the goalies. Quinnipiac goalie Joe Secaucus right here. Huge. He's been huge for Quinnipiac in recent games. Saves that one. Fourth quarter we go. Mike Fletcher. What does he do? 23rd goal the season. He'll tie that one up at 8, but we are not even close to being done yet. Foster, Cuomo. What is he going to do? Back, forth, up, down. What does he do? Boom! Back of the net. That one goes. Quinnipiac stays at 9-8 lead, but Monmouth would send that one into overtime. Not just overtime, double overtime. But who steps up for Quinnipiac? No one other than Ryan Corcoran. Look at the shot, back of the net. There it goes, right past him. Quinnipiac would clinch the first seed in the MAC tournament with this 10-9 victory. They're mobbing him. I would love to know what that feels like. I have no talent on the field, but Quinnipiac will win this one 10-9.
Now taking a look at the Lynx, the Quinnipiac golf team made its way to Lake Buena Vista, Florida in a bid for its third MAC tournament championship in as many years. Despite shooting its best round on the final day of the three-day tournament, the Bobcats would finish as the runner-up, 12 strokes behind your 2018 MAC tournament champions, the Albany Great Danes. Quinnipiac's second place finish means they do not clinch a berth in the NCAA tournament, marking the first time they haven't done so in the last 3 seasons. The Bobcats look to turn their hopes around in 2019, and luckily for them, 4 of their top 5 golfers will be returning next season.
Transitioning from the course to the field, it's time to talk little women's lacrosse. It's been a bit of a rough season for the Bobcats, and Wednesday's game against Siena was no different. Siena's Alexa Deacon scored the game's first 5 goals. Siena jumped out to a 7-0 lead. Quinnipiac tried to fight back but fell short, losing the contest 13-9. That's all we have for sports. Back to Liza and Olivia at the desk.
Sadly, that's all the time we have tonight on the Q30 Newscast. Make sure you don't miss any of our content by checking out our website at q30tv.com.
And follow our Twitter at Q30 News. Thank you for watching, and from all of the Q30 News team, good night, Bobcats.